This isn't just any muscle car, it's a high-octane icon that blazed trails on the streets and the racetrack. From its debut in 1968 to its domination in NASCAR, the Torino combined style, power, and performance like no other. Buckle up, because this ride through muscle car history is about to hit full throttle. Let's drive into the legend that still burns rubber, and don't forget to subscribe while you're at it. The name Torino itself carries a certain international flair. It's derived from the Italian city of Turin, a nod to Ford's ambition to create a stylish and globally appealing vehicle. Turin, known for its automotive heritage, was a fitting source of inspiration for a car that blended performance and sophisticated design. Interestingly, Torino was originally considered the name for the Ford Mustang during its development, but was eventually given to this new line of cars and adding a sense of prestige to the Torino badge. The Ford Torino debuted in 1968. Initially introduced as a separate line from the Fairlane, the Torino quickly established itself as a more upscale and performance-oriented vehicle. The first generation of the Torino offered a range of body styles, and buyers could choose from the classic hardtop, which provided a sleek, sporty look, or the convertible, which offered an open-air driving experience. For aggressiveness, the fastback feature was also available, and this fastback shape not only contributed to the car's striking looks, but also had a functional advantage. It was incredibly aerodynamic. The streamlined roofline reduced drag and improved stability, which made the Torino a formidable contender in competitive environments, particularly in NASCAR. Initially, Ford offered more economical engine choices for the base models of the Torino, including the 200 cubic inch and the 250 cubic inch inline-six engines. These engines were designed for drivers who were looking for a reliable, everyday car with a decent level of performance without breaking the bank. The V8 options were a game changer for the Torino. The 289 cubic inch Windsor V8, a stalwart in Ford's lineup, offered plenty of power for the everyday enthusiast. As the demand for even more performance grew, the 302 cubic inch and the 351 cubic inch Windsor V8 became available, offering even more punch and making the Torino a serious contender on both the streets and the racetrack. The 1969 Torino GT was a notable variant that represented the pinnacle of the early Torino performance. It was available with an optional 390 cubic inch V8, but the real showstopper was the 427 cubic inch V8, a massive powerhouse that delivered an exhilarating performance. The Torino Cobra was also introduced, a high-performance version that was based on the 428 cubic inch V8. The Cobra was available in different configurations, allowing enthusiasts to tailor their cars to their exact specifications. In 1970, hood scoops, also known as the shaker hood, were introduced to provide an additional flow of cool air to the engine, enhancing the vehicle's efficiency. In 1970, the Ford Torino underwent significant design changes. The most notable update was the introduction of a new grille, which had a sharp, pointed nose that gave the car a more cutting-edge aerodynamic appearance. The performance options for the 1970 Torino were some of the most exciting in the car's history. The 351 Cleveland V8 became the base engine for high-performance models, but for those seeking even more horsepower, Ford offered the 351 Cobra Jet, a version of the 351 Cleveland with enhanced performance features. The 429 Thunderjet and 429 Cobra Jet engines represented the pinnacle of Ford's V8 offerings in the Torino, with the Super Cobra Jet variant offering a staggering 370 horsepower. And Motor Trend's recognition of the Torino as its Car of the Year in 1970 was a major milestone for the model, significantly boosting the Torino's reputation, attracting more buyers, and driving up demand. The early 1970s brought significant changes to the Ford Torino, marking the beginning of a new era where luxury was prioritized over raw performance. The shift to body-on-frame construction of the 1972 model made the car sturdier, and better equipped to handle the weight and demands of a more comfortable, focused design. The more aggressive fish mouth grille design was introduced, but it also reflected a subtle shift away from the performance-centric ideals of the previous models. Ford introduced the Gran Torino and the Gran Torino Brougham as the higher-end trims, emphasizing luxury features and comfort over raw, high-performance engines that had previously defined the car. These new models featured a more refined interior, with plush materials, advanced features for the time, and a focus on providing a smoother, more comfortable driving experience. The Cobra and Cobra Jet models were discontinued, and Ford focused on engines that still provided adequate performance but were tuned more for comfort and fuel economy, in line with the emission standards of the time. The base engine for most models became the 250 cubic inch inline six, which provided decent power for everyday driving but was far removed from the muscle car engines of the previous years. The 302 cubic inch V8 was available in some models, offering a more robust option, but still not nearly as powerful as the engines of the late 1960s and early 1970s. For buyers who still desired a bit more muscle, Ford offered the 351 Cleveland V8 and the 429 V8. But these engines were reserved for specific trims and were not as widely available across the lineup. One of the most significant changes that affected the car's design and performance came in 1973 with the introduction of new federal bumper regulations. These rules required vehicles to be equipped with larger, more durable bumpers to improve safety in low-speed collisions. While the intention was practical, the result was a change in the car's aesthetics. The once sleek, body-fitting chrome bumpers were replaced with larger, bulkier versions that disrupted the Torino's clean lines and its signature sporty look. By the end of 1974, the introduction of the 460 cubic inch V8 was a final attempt to offer a large block engine option for those who still wanted power. But the Torino's performance had already been greatly diminished by the ongoing push for more fuel-efficient and emission-compliant vehicles. Despite the decline in performance, the Torino would continue to hold a special place in American pop culture, particularly due to its prominent role in the popular TV series Starsky and Hutch, which aired from 1975 to 1979. The show's main characters, Detective Starsky and Hutch, drove a red Torino with a distinctive white racing stripe, the car that became iconic in the 1970s. In 1976, Ford capitalized on this newfound cultural connection by producing 1,000 replicas of the Starsky and Hutch Torino. These cars, decked out with the same red and white livery seen on TV, were sold to the public. In 1974, Ford introduced the Gran Torino Elite. In many ways, the Gran Torino Elite mirrored the success of its sister model, the Mercury Cougar RX-7, as both vehicles were designed to occupy the same personal luxury car segment. Its sleek, longer profile was complemented by plush interior appointments, offering a far more comfortable and upscaled environment than the more performance-focused trims. The exterior of the Gran Torino Elite boasted a more refined, dignified look with a distinctive fastback roofline that gave it an air of sophistication. Inside was a more carefully appointed dashboard and other luxurious touches that emphasize comfort over the rough and ready style of earlier Torino models. Comparing the Gran Torino Elite to the Gran Torino Sport, it's clear that the two models were designed with different audiences in mind. The Gran Torino Sport was still very much rooted in the performance ideas of the late 1960s and early 1970s, featuring sharper lines, sportier suspension setups, and larger, more powerful engines like the 429 Cobra Jet and the 460 V8. On the other hand, the Gran Torino Elite leaned into the comfort and convenience of a luxury coupe, offering a more restrained performance package alongside features like plush seating, smoother suspension, and a quieter ride. In the 1970s, the Ford Torino was available as a four-door sedan in the Argentine market from 1969 to 1981. The Fairlane, Torino in Argentina, shared many of the design features with its American counterpart, but offered a distinct version tailored to local tastes. While American buyers got to experience the Torino as a range of performance models, the Argentine version focused on a more utilitarian but stylish design. Initially, the vehicle was powered by a 221 cubic inch inline-six engine, with another 292 cubic inch V8 option. By 1978, Ford introduced the luxurious LTD Elite trim in Argentina, which featured upgraded materials, better interior finishes, and a more comfortable ride. During its production run, nearly 30,000 units of the Fairlane Torino were produced in Argentina. The Argentine production of the Torino proved to be a commercial success, with the car becoming a symbol of status and proof of Ford's ability to adapt a classic American model to international tastes.